What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I wanted to put this in the beginning. Of course, we are coming to you live from Gotham Production Studios, which is our home here for X Drinking Buddy. Remember to subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/Brennan Tassif. You can also follow on social media at X Drinking Buddy on Instagram, Twitter, and follow me at Brennan T Comedy on all social media. Check out BrennanTComedy.com for the upcoming shows. And don't forget to get your X Drinking Buddy merch. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Boom. That's it. Easy peasy.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your X Drinking Buddy. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It's my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about crazy stories. I am sober now, but that's still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with someone and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest, and this week is no exception. All the way from the Garden State of New Jersey, the return of Chris Pattwell.
I forgot about this intro.
You did.
And I remember saying something about it
You
last
did?
time. And I'm so excited I came just for that.
I
I
just
think I could
re-listened-
leave now.
I just re-listened to our episode, and you've literally, I was waiting for you to say it again. You were like, that's too much energy for me.
Oh, I said
Yeah,
that
that's
last
what you
time?
said, yeah.
Well, I feel a little more energy this time.
Yeah, so you were on. I don't remember the exact. I remember the name, but I don't remember the exact number of the episode. But it was October 23rd of 2023. You came on.
Great.
The episode is Chris Pattwell. Who gives a shit?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very appropriate title for me.
We talked about how you got into stand-up. Towson. We talked about DC a little
Nice.
bit. The $5,000 you won in fantasy football when you
that was a
needed it
good
the
story.
most. Yeah, that was a great story.
Had nothing to do with drinking, really.
No, but still, it was a good story. And
I was drunk when I won the money.
there you go.
But I wasn't like, it wasn't bad drunk.
Well, then towards the end, because we got not even off track. It's on track for the theme of the episode or for the theme of the show. But we were talking about kind of like family stuff and like drinking running in both of our families and stuff like that. And then we didn't really get into like too crazy of stories.
Yeah.
And then on your way out, you're like, oh, next you gotta. He was like, you said if I come back on, we'll talk about my 20s, which
We'll
is
do
when
a
things
story.
got a little crazy. And I was like, for sure, we'll have you back on. So we have you back on, and you sent me a list. The list is like 15 stories long.
Yeah. Well, the list is from last time.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to be prepared last time. This time I didn't give a shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I wanted to be prepared last time. But I put that list together. I called my buddy Tom. Shout out to Tom in
shout
Atlanta.
out Tom.
And he reminded me of some stories, but yeah, most of them are just like kind of the most embarrassing.
That's what we love.
Slash, you know, it's fun. It's obviously it's the most negative stuff that happens to you.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting because whenever I send out the note, I tell people, I say, send me your best and or worst drinking, drug, partying, getting in trouble stories.
Yeah.
It's always the worst ones.
It's always the worst ones. Yeah.
No one's ever like, yeah, I got hammered and hooked up with a supermodel.
Yeah, like I have some. I don't have that story, but you know, some glory stories that make
Yeah.
me look good and like sound like if I tell it to a buddy, they might be like jealous. It's not really the good story.
Those aren't the fun
It
ones,
doesn't
though.
feel as fun to tell.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, even the stories I have about good. Oh, before we go too far, plug everything up front because you are now passed at the New York Comedy Club.
Yeah,
you
come
run
see
a
me
great
in
show.
New York Comedy Club. You come check out my Don't Freak Out show.
Best show in
Every
the city.
Friday
You
at
have
4 p.m.
overtaken- Sorry, I stepped on
Yeah,
it. Go ahead.
no, every Friday at 4 p.m. It's like a free show, and it's open to pretty much any performer. But we have the best,
Yeah.
some of the best performers.
Well, it's
in New
awesome
York City.
because
Best up and coming.
Julia was running the new material mic on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And so you, me, Josh Shemensky, a bunch of us were like, we're going to make this the best fucking mic.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
We were very successful
It
at
was
that.
great for a while.
It was for a long time. It was like the best mic in the city.
And then I think a lot of the supportive people, positive people that are in like our class of comic
kind of
moved on. And then the new class or whatever, and the new wave, whatever you want to call it, it just feels like they're not like as into supporting people.
Yeah, some of them I don't think they're as into stand-up.
No, I don't get what they're doing. Every time I go, I don't want to. Every time I go to that place, I'm like, this is not a.
It's just not the same.
It's a drain of energy, and I don't know what they think is happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then you
gotta support.
You started doing the Don't Freak Out show, and you did something, and I've talked about it on the show, even though you haven't been on. But it's such a good show. I always like to talk about it. You do something that I really like. A couple of things. One, it's a bucket. So there is no like favoritism in the sense that it's like everyone shows up.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, because there are some shows that people produce and mics that people produce where it's random, but you're also like, hey, how come so-and-so always gets up early and I always have to go late and all this kind of stuff. You do a straight bucket.
Yep.
You're very steadfast because it's at New York Comedy Club, so it has to be done at a certain time. You're very steadfast on this is the time limit, this is the time restraints, this is what we're doing.
Very specific.
Which I like. I hate those mics where they just go on forever.
Oh, that's good.
And you're like, I fucking hate
I
this.
hate being an authority on any level.
I mean, you're good at it.
I hate being an organizer. I think I'm good at it, but people think because I'm like specific that I'm enjoying it. I'm like specific because I'm anxious.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we talked about this last time.
I'm not enjoying it.
We talked about this on the last episode where how sometimes you could be perceived as an asshole because you're just straightforward with people. Yeah. And I don't,
it's like a business switch.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to get these things done. I have a to-do list. My face doesn't break this.
Yeah.
And I talk very direct. And I just say,
what's your problem?
Hey, you're not on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa. And it's like, oh, my bad. I forgot to be a human. That's my fault.
So, but then dude, this show, and I remember the first time I went, and the reason why it's such an awesome show, there's a myriad of reasons, but the biggest reason is the people.
Yeah, the people are great.
So it was billed as a mic for a while.
Yeah.
And I think it's still kind of billed that way, but it's probably one of the only mics.
Billed as a free show on the website.
Yes. Okay, still good. So it is billed as that. So on the website, they'll just give out reservations and then people buy drinks and show up. There's like 30 to 40 people, which if you're listening to this, like where I come from in Jacksonville, you're like, oh yeah, that's like a good mic. And it's like, that doesn't happen in New York. In New York, all the mics are just comics.
0 audience members.
0.
Yeah.
I've been to a bunch of mics.
99% have 0.
Where it's just like maybe 1 or 2 tourists like stumble in.
And that's never a good thing.
No.
It's not. Those are the worst people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is billed as a show. And then you market it. And this is something I told you and I've talked about on the show, again, when I'm talking about comic stuff with other people, was you build it as... The first time I ever went there, you were like, "Oh, this is a new material show."
Yeah.
But you kept saying the word "new show." This is a show, show.
Yeah,
so
I don't like to promote it as a mic to the audience. Yeah. Gives them that. Yeah, because it's all. I think we forget that this is an illusion, that this is an entertainment show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to break the wall, but also you want to keep up some kind of illusion.
Yeah.
That's why I do all of the organization not in front of them, and then I seat the audience. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes...
Which is super smart.
It just seems like I booked these comics.
Yeah.
And because all of them are bookable comics.
Yeah, for the most part,
90% are like fantastic comics that should be booked more, and that's what's great about doing the show.
Yeah, and it's so fun
I get to have great people on that I don't see everywhere, and I never see at New York Comedy Club.
And it's my favorite thing, how many people show... And I've been on the bad end of this, how many people show up.
Yeah.
Like, there's just not even like audience.
How many comics show up wanting to get on,
And then sometimes I get frustrated because they'll come like straggling in at like 3:47. And you're like, no, like, what'd you fucking think was going to happen? This is the most popular show in the city. What'd you think was going to happen?
I know. I kind of am just like, no.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say no also.
Well, and I do like
just because I'm good at saying no doesn't mean
you like doing it.
I always enjoy it. I sometimes enjoy it.
You said you have that thing where you go 3:45. I've seen you do it before where people will walk in at like 3:50 and you'll be like 3:45.
Or even 3:46.
Yeah, and you're like,
I'm like 3:45. Like if you don't get here, but I have a funny story that I was just listening to this recording. I was doing a mic last year, and this woman came in. Like, so there's no audience members, as we were saying.
Yeah.
And this couple comes in, and they're drunk as all hell. And
what time is this?
4 p.m. on a Tuesday at Westside, and I'm doing the mic, and I'm doing brand new material, ideas off the notebook. I'm doing this joke where I start off by saying, I think white privilege exists, It's supposed to be kind of like ironic. I'm trying to get like a chuckle on that.
Yeah.
And this woman just goes, no. And I go, what? And then we have a full conversation where she's like, I don't think white privilege exists. And I'm like, okay.
White woman?
White woman. That's the best part of the show. I should have best part of the story is I maybe should have mentioned that. But so I try to continue. I try to move on and she keeps going. And I go, do you realize how ironic this is that you're literally like saying that white privilege doesn't exist? Well, you just walked into a place that you're not welcomed and not supposed to be, and then just started talking when you're not supposed to be talking.
Oh my God. Yeah. The irony, how meta that is.
And she was not getting it. She kept going. And I tried to move on, and I was like, miss, I'm so angry right now. I was seeing red. I had to listen to the recording because I don't even remember what I said.
Oh my God.
I was so angry, and I was like, you're ruining this for me, and I can't move on. And I'm not going to like if this isn't a show.
Yeah.
I don't have time to talk to you and to shut you down and then move on. I'm just trying to do these topics. Yeah. So I end up like explaining to her that she shouldn't talk during anyone's set. And I left immediately because I was so angry.
Yeah.
But apparently she talked throughout everyone's and then tried to perform at the end. And, but you know. But she doesn't think white privilege exists at all.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about
She just walks in and I belong in every room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it personified right there.
It's some kind of privilege.
You just did it.
Yeah.
Was she attractive?
It's the definition of irony. She was more attractive than the man she was with, who seemed like 15 years older.
Oh, man. What a disaster.
Yeah.
The city can be a nightmare.
Yeah. So that was fun.
I wanted to ask you, speaking of white privilege, so this time, if you want to listen to how Chris got into comedy and stand-up and all this kind of stuff, go back and listen to the first episode. We don't have to rehash all that stuff.
It's mostly due to white privilege. I just walked into a club.
Speaking of white privilege.
And they're like, you're white, let's get you on.
Not in this day and age.
No, I know, not really.
Not in this city.
No, it is, yeah.
You and me?
You and me, guy.
You and me?
Yeah.
We're a dying breed around here.
I'm actually 10% Asian. Does that help?
Are you?
No.
Oh.
People ask me all the time if I'm Asian.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I'm from fucking New Jersey.
Yeah, it happens very often.
You got pulled over, drunk at 17.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of white privilege.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, nice.
That was
the transition.
Pretty good at this.
I kind of cut off the transition, but you still went with it.
Yeah.
Good job, dude.
Thanks, man.
Fuck yeah. I remembered that. You did a couple segues last time.
Yeah.
You are good at that.
What happened? You're 17.
I just spaced out thinking about you doing a minute of comedy, and I remember being impressed by it because you're such a long story guy, and you were able to do a minute of comedy, and you did a good job on that show.
Thank you. For those of you listening, the Don't Freak Out show has a interlude where a comic who doesn't get picked for the full 5 gets to do 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And that I was the guinea pig.
It's probably the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, especially for someone like me who's a storyteller. But
yeah,
I did pretty well.
It's been fun both times.
I got some laughs. Harold did well.
You doing well was the reason I continued it.
Oh, really?
Because it was fun. And I was like, that was fun.
And then Harold did it, and it was good. Because I love Harold, but
yeah, it was good. It was weird.
It was funny because like he was doing that thing where he doesn't look.
Yeah.
And I was like, he knows he only has 60 seconds, right?
Yeah. He went over, but it was funny and it was so going funny. Well, so I didn't mind. And then he was like, that was it. And I was like, that was it 20 seconds ago. Like, yeah.
And then I went up after and I go, he's very funny, actually.
Yeah, he's very funny. Yeah.
God, I bombed that one.
Did you?
Not bomb. I went back and listened to it, though. But because you have audience, I actually filmed those sets. Like, normally I audio record every set, but I actually film those ones because there's an audience. So it doesn't feel as cheap as like filming a regular open mic.
That does feel cheap.
And I went back and listened to it on my walk. So I always leave there right at 5 because I have to walk into work. And I was listening back to it, and I was like, I thought that hit harder in the room. I felt like it hit harder in the room.
Well, if you film it, the audio is not always great.
I know,
it's better in the voice memo.
Facing,
it probably was better in the room. Yeah, you're probably right.
Because I was like,
that's a real thing. That's why I always have a voice recording when I do clips. It like because it's a better sound. The sound is going towards the stage.
Yeah,
always going away from a camera that'll be in the back
of the room. Yeah, for sure. For sure, you're right.
I'll tell this story though, if you want. What were you going to say? Did I interrupt you?
No, I was about to do what you just did.
Okay, yeah. You looked at me like you were angry. I was like, what is that energy?
No, not at all.
I interrupted
But this is what we're talking about when we say sometimes Chris can be perceived as an asshole because he's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll tell that story.
I'll tell that story, though.
And anyone who doesn't know Chris would be like, I'll fucking tell you when to tell the story. How about that? This is my fucking show.
there you go.
How about you don't tell me? But I know Chris, so yeah, continue.
So you still feel that a little. But
no, not at all.
No.
17.
Yeah, I must have been 17. I was doing probably the stupidest thing you can do, where I wasn't like that drunk. I wasn't drinking and driving. I was drinking while driving. It was the middle of the day. We were heading to a fair, and it was me and my buddy Ronnie and Ryan, and I won't say last names.
Yeah, don't say last names.
Although if you know me at all, you know my only friends that are named. Yeah. Anyway. And my one Ronnie's driving for me, even though I'm in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
We used to do this thing where he would steer, and I just like wouldn't look.
Like as a gag?
Yeah. So he'd be from the passenger seat steering, and I would just be like messing with Ryan by turning around and going, "Hey, bud, are you uncomfortable right now?" and making full eye contact with him.
Oh my God.
While he's driving, and then I'm drinking, and this all seemed like a fun idea.
A great idea at the time.
It was pretty fun. We get pulled over.
Yeah.
The cop finds there's beer in the cup holder.
Obviously.
The cop finds a 30 in the trunk, and he was like, "What are you guys doing?" And we were like, "Oh, we're going to the fair." And then like
we're going to the fair.
Yeah. And then Ryan in the back hands him a cop card because his dad was like an NYPD, and he like.
And this is in Jersey.
Yeah. And he just was like, "Are you guys drinking any of these beers?" And we're like, "No, not yet, not yet." Even though we're 17.
Yeah.
And he took the 30, left the beers in the cup holder, and then just let us go.
But he took the 30 rack?
Yeah.
Oh,
he took
man.
the 30 rack. And then we saw him later. We got drunk some other way. We saw him later.
Find a way.
And we're like talking to him and like messing with him and like laughing with him.
Oh, so he was like having a good time.
He
with
was
you guys?
laughing, yeah. And we were like joking with him, and we were drunk at that time.
Yeah.
So we were like, we're not drunk yet, and then we saw him later drunk.
Hey, we're drunk now.
Yeah.
How you doing?
And he's like laughing. Probably not a very good cop.
Is this a big common thing? Because this is super common in Florida, like getting drunk and going to like stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The fairgrounds and all that kind of stuff. Was that big in the Northeast? Was that big in Jersey?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's what you did as a teenager. You just like loitered.
Yeah.
There was a lot of loitering
like that,
outside of 7-Eleven and stuff. And I was like, it's so boring.
Just
even if we are drunk. Like, I want to go on an adventure. Let's go on an adventure. Play video games.
That's the new title.
So,
I was going to do it drinking while driving, but now it's let's go on an adventure.
Let's go on an adventure. That was, it was funny to just look back on that story and like a couple other stories that had happened to me throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a smooth talker.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm a smooth talker with cops. And
or just in general.
I think it just turned out that like there was some whiteness happening.
Do you notice this? Besides like the authority figure, but as someone who's a bartender and I also work in restaurants, do you notice this with guests? Like they think they're being smooth, but because you're of sober mind, you're like, oh, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
You're being an idiot right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I wonder if it's going through their head like, oh, I'm killing this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so good right now.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you, you had told me about a story when you made a move, the worst move you had ever made.
Oh, God.
While you were drunk with someone you loved.
Yeah.
And like in your head when that, so tell the story for the listeners, because I want to know in your head if you're thinking like, nailed it.
Yeah.
Set it up. How old are we? Where are we living?
This
What's
is
going
recent.
on? Okay.
Like 5 years ago, recent, or 6 years ago. No, I have a girlfriend of like 2 years almost.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
no.
making the move with someone I know.
Well, a lot of these stories come from like 11 years ago. I feel like maybe even 9 years ago.
Yeah, because we talked about on your last episode. You take long gaps in drinking now. Like you don't really party that hard. Yeah. You'll take years at a time sometimes. Yeah. But I'm
on a large hiatus now.
Yeah.
It's been like 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning's still tough for you?
Mornings still suck, man.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Dude,
you're like, I'll stop drinking and smoking weed, and then I'll just get up in the morning. You're like, nope.
You think everything's going to be solved.
Yeah.
You really do. You're like, I'm going to be a more enthusiastic person. I'm going to finally get that script done. I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to go for runs at 8 in the morning. I'm going to take a cold shower. None of that happens. One of it happens. Half of it happens.
I get 6 years sober the week after this comes out, so May 31st. And I bought like one of the runner fanny packs.
Yeah.
Like I bought like the shoes, not these, but like the shoes I wear to work out in. Because you know me, I lift a lot. But I've been trying to get into cardio. I'm like, I'll do it like we used to do in football. Like I'll go, there's a field right next to my apartment. Like there's a park with a field. I'm like, I'll go down there and run sprints.
Yeah.
So I bought all this stuff on Amazon to do that. Fucking never. And I'm like to the point now where it's like I am a sober person. Like I'm 6 years in.
That's great.
And it's still, but it's to your point where it's like, oh, if I just cut this out, or if I just do this, or if I just do that, everything's going to be different.
Yep.
Dude, I'm 6 years in and I'm still like in a lot of ways the same. I'm better, but I'm still in a lot of ways the same. Like buy first, never pursue what I was planning on doing.
Yeah, and there's a laziness to certain things that you want to have motivation to that you think drinking's getting in the way of.
Yeah.
Drinking gets in the way of a lot of things, but like there's certain things that you think are gonna be like, I'm just gonna love to do this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
You're still not gonna do it.
I'm gonna love editing clips. And
no,
then you're like,
sucks.
This wasn't me being hungover. You just hate social media.
Yeah, it's the worst. I started a project. I'm working on a project with my older brother, and he brought in this team. And like I'm doing obviously the social media aspect of it. Like I'm cutting clips and stuff like that. And it's so funny how disconnected some people. It's like when people go, "Oh, you do comedy in New York? You should go on the Tonight Show."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, oh, okay, cool. Do you have a number? Do you have someone I can call?"
Yeah.
Like these people who have no bearing on what social media is and stuff, they'll be like
Netflix.
Yeah. They'll shoot me a text in the WhatsApp and be like, "Hey, can you cut a clip of like X, Y, and Z and like put it together as like a cool video?" And I'm like, "Yeah, do you have any of the raw footage?" They're like, "You can just get it, right?" And I'm like, "You understand what you're asking me? You want me to stop everything I'm doing to like scour the internet for these random obscure clips and then cut them all together?
Just put it together."
Yeah, that's what they're like. Yeah, just find like
it's an IKEA.
Yeah,
table.
I'm like, I was like, if you send me the raw footage, I can put it together. And they're like, can't you find it? And I'm like, no.
Who are these people?
It's just people who have people who don't have social media. Well, just people who don't have social media.
Yeah, okay.
So they think like, oh, you're doing the social media, so you can do this. And it's like, that's not how that works.
No. Yeah.
Like I can't snap my finger and be like, poof.
Yeah.
The social media is. And then one of them goes, we need a clip to go viral.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And I go, yeah.
Oh, done. Yeah.
I was like, we absolutely do.
Oh, I'll press the viral button. As I'm posting, I always forget to click that. Viral button. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we do need clips to go viral. And they go, yeah. That would really help us if a clip goes viral. And I go, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like they wanted me to be like, oh, yeah, I'll take care of it. It's like, yeah, I've been trying to do that for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm always late to those things. It's like anytime somebody's like, oh, you just got to hashtag FYP or something. I'm like, now too many people are doing it.
It's flooded
and it's
the
over.
market.
It's done. And I'm always late to that.
I can't stand it, man. But let's talk about you embarrassing yourself.
All right, let's talk about a different story.
You don't want to do that story?
No, it's boring. I think it's going to be boring. And I just told like a very average story.
Okay.
So let's talk about the time I got arrested.
Yeah, that was the first one. Was
that going to be the finale or something?
No, the hospital will probably be the finale.
I think the arrested story is better.
Than the hospital?
Yeah, you want to build up?
We'll save the arrest one then.
Okay.
Let's save it.
All right,
Let's talk about your dad.
I'll tell the story about being embarrassed.
Oh, I was going to... Okay. Well, the other one is the one with your dad is
the
pretty
chemistry we're having is on fire right now. We're just like reading each other's mind. It's crazy.
The dad one is pretty embarrassing.
The dad one? Oh, okay. Yeah. It's So I think the most embarrassing part about that is I was 19 and
this is back in Jersey.
I was headed back from Towson. And I was back for like a period of time, winter break or something.
Yeah.
And we were watching the Giants play the 49ers.
Which is awesome. If you have not seen Chris's material on sports in general.
Oh, thank you.
Check it out online. The fantasy bit is hilarious.
Thank you.
The one about your dad.
Yeah.
You couldn't even walk up the stairs.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Do you have those online?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah, there's a couple older videos with sports compilation that have that.
They're so funny.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you're with your dad watching Giants Niners.
I'm watching the playoffs. The year they won the Super Bowl the first time. So maybe I would have been 19. So my best guess is 11 or 12. It would have been the second time then.
Oh, okay, so
the second time, yeah. Because and I'm coming back and I'm hanging out with my older brother's friends. So I'm like a drinker now.
Yeah.
Like I'm cool now.
Yeah.
Like the last time I saw them, I was like a loser in high school.
Yeah.
And I was like 16. They were always cool, but like I was, like nice and cool to me. My brother's 4 years older.
Okay.
But they were like the popular kids in their high school. And I was like not at all that. So I like would see them and I like kind of looked up to these guys.
Not at all.
And I come back like 3 years after,
Yeah,
that.
I'm in college
I'm cool now.
I'm fucking...
Yeah, I drink all the time, bro.
Yeah.
Like I can handle my liquor. So I'm making a thing of it. I'm like, let's take shots. Like I'm kind of calling one of them out for not wanting to drink a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
You see the irony in this?
Yes.
Because you have the bit about how people in certain programs won't shut up about that program.
Yeah.
You did the exact same thing, but
Yeah.
opposite with your drinking.
Yeah.
You were like, yeah, I drink now,
I drink
guys.
now.
I do this.
And like in college, it was like cool to call someone out.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least in my
Who
circle,
are you
it
talking
was.
to?
Yeah. It was like, bro, you're not taking shots. And
What are
then
you, a fucking
Yeah,
pussy?
yeah, and everyone would laugh, and like we were real mature. So I did that to this guy, and I'm like calling him out, and like it's fine, and like I think I'm being cool. In hindsight,
He might be 22 with a severe drinking problem. He's trying to get under
or he
control.
just didn't want to drink that much.
Yeah.
He just wanted to enjoy the game. He was just sipping on beer. We're
I
taking
didn't
shots.
Even think about that.
We're taking shots of Midori. I didn't even realize. I was
It's
like,
a
this.
liqueur. It's garbage.
Yeah. I was like, this tastes good, which is ironic because most of the time at that time I would take like shots of just straight Russian vodka.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't know much, obviously. And I'm taking shots of Midori. I think that might have came later. We're taking shots of whiskey. It's like everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to be cool. I'm thinking I'm killing it. I was probably like such a nuisance for a while. My dad comes down.
Oh, so your dad's not there this time?
No, he comes down to hang out. It's like we're in the basement watching the game.
Yeah.
I blacked out. So I don't know what I did for a little while.
The Midori in the basement makes sense, though, because a lot of, in Florida, we have like attics and spare rooms.
Yeah.
But the alcohol that's in there, it's always like...
It's always the leftover. It's like peach schnapps.
Yeah, it's the leftover.
Yeah.
Like the parents are like, oh, we'll put together like a cool bar.
Yeah.
And they get the Midori as like a mixer.
Yeah,
But then
they
they drink
never-
everything else and never drink the Midori.
Yeah. My parents are not cool bar parents. My parents are straight alcohol.
Why'd they have the Midori in the basement?
I think we bought the Midori.
Oh my God, that's a huge plot twist.
I don't know where the Midori came from. I think one of my brother's friends brought it.
Oh my God, that makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Why not just buy real alcohol?
I'm 90% sure this was Midori. It was a green look.
Yeah, that's a Midori, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So
who buys that?
So I end up throwing up on my dad's lap. And we have to, we...
What happens? You blacked out. He comes down to, watch the game?
The craziest part about this is a kind of guy that, if he would have caught me drinking in high school, I would have been, afraid that he was going to kick my ass, literally. So, he's always terrified me. And the idea that, I went from hiding my drinking completely to, blacking out and throwing up on him, he must have been, what I think he got so angry, there's an anger switch where it just breaks.
Yeah.
And he's just not even angry anymore.
And he just so far.
I just went so far that he's I guess I got to take care of him.
So what happened? Do you remember what happened?
After that?
No, did he come down? Were you guys sitting watching the game?
That's the problem with some of these stories.
Yeah.
I black out.
Yeah.
And I go from I have a memory of being an asshole. and trying to be cool.
Yeah.
And then I have a vague memory of throwing up on him.
And then he took care of you?
And then a little bit of the story is the next morning.
Okay, what happened?
He has to drive me down to school. That was the plan the whole time. So now I have a 3-hour ride with him after throwing up on him. And it's silent for the first hour.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, maybe we could just do this the rest of the time and we don't have to say anything. Finally, he's like, I think you're an alcoholic.
Wow.
He said something like that, like, Chris, are you an alcoholic? And I was like, no. And then he was like, okay. And then we just moved on from there, which is hilarious because a couple years after I had been arrested, after I had thrown up on him, after he knew I went to the hospital for drinking, and a couple other stories along the way, when I told him I stopped drinking at 25 for the first time I ever stopped drinking, he was like, why? And then I told my mom, I think I stopped drinking. She's like, that's weird because you never had a problem with it. And I was like, are we keeping score at all? Is anyone paying attention?
Is anyone paying attention? Somebody look at the scoreboard, man.
Are my brothers that far from the middle that
it is so funny
that
you say this.
I'm okay?
My family still does this.
Yeah.
To this day, I've been sober for 6 years. I got sober. The listeners know, you know this. I woke up in the hospital. I was dying. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
I had gone to rehab. I had gone to detoxes. I had been arrested 8 times. I finally get sober. And to this day, I don't know if it's because a bunch of time has passed, people in my circle, family or close friends will go, yeah, but you weren't that bad.
You weren't that bad. Yeah. It's always you weren't that bad.
Yeah. I'm like, who? What?
Yeah.
What?
Which is kind of nice to hear, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of like when I hear that, but because, I mean.
And from your dad to ask you, do you think you're an alcoholic at 19?
Yeah.
And then fast forward
and then
25.
forget about that. I think he genuinely forgot about that.
Well, and there's this weird thing, too, where people don't understand what it is. We do, because you've seen it firsthand, and I've dealt with it firsthand. But, people don't understand, people, when you say alcoholic to people, they think someone living under an overpass.
Yeah.
And begging for money.
Yeah, I think, they think of someone
especially that older generation, that's what they think of.
Yeah, the older generation, they think of it in an extreme way.
Yeah.
Someone who is just always drunk. I think they just think of a homeless person.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, they just think of such a dramatic thing because nobody ever wanted to admit they were an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I think if you talk to people our age, it's a little less, but it's still someone who's always an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm just because I'm not causing problems really anymore.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not an asshole. I'm still having 35 drinks a week.
Yeah, it's
and
still
that's
a lot.
a little bit aggressive.
Well, and a little bit aggressive.
I noticed. Yeah, my girlfriend barely drinks. Her family doesn't drink, at all.
Your girlfriend with all that sexual tension.
Yeah, her brothers. I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
She just the new bits. I gotta stop referencing bits.
Yeah,
because the audience is like, the fuck are you guys talking about? I'll know her new bit about
being almost asexual. Got you. Okay, I was I needed to ask. I was confused.
I love when she does it when you're in the room. It's my favorite thing. In the room.
I know. Jesse Slayton just told me the same thing yesterday. I was like, it's such bad feedback. I know.
I'm sorry. I brought it up.
It's fun. I find it funny. I find her jokes great.
Foreign country? I'm sorry. I'm getting this off track. So
I'm taking her to England next
There you
month.
go.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That high five was terrible.
I know. It was,
okay.
So
at least it wasn't on camera.
We're talking about alcoholism, and you said 35 drinks is a little aggressive.
So yeah, she doesn't drink. Her family doesn't drink, and that's when you really start to see the perspective.
Yeah.
Of even when I think I'm doing all right and doing not bad, and I don't have a great story, but you say something around the lines of oh, I drank last night, but it wasn't that bad. I only had 4 beers.
Yeah.
And then she's out there oh, I drank last night, and she literally just meant she ordered a beer.
Yeah.
And didn't finish it.
Yeah.
And that's her version of drinking, and my version of not drinking is less than 6. It's just like less than 6. It's hilarious that you have that perspective. That really was where my standard was. Even like 6 months ago when I was drinking, my standard is if barely drinking is like 3. And then kind of like not drinking a lot is anything less than 6.
Yeah.
Or 7. Even.
I would completely agree with that. And it's interesting you bring this up because we had Julia on this podcast.
Yeah.
And she only had like 3 stories.
Yeah.
But they were big story.
Yeah,
like it wasn't one of the. It was just one of those things where she was like, "Yeah, I got like so sick."
Oh yeah, I remember.
Like,
she told me one. Yeah,
like one of them, she like dropped her phone in the subway.
Oh yeah, that's
and her dad like had to jump down and get her phone. She
found it and it wasn't broken.
Yeah, and her dad was like jumped down and got it, but she was like, so like I understand that, and it's interesting too because she's a little younger than us, and I think the younger generation has this idea.
It's her birthday today.
Where it's gone. Is it really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday. I got to text her when we get out of here.
Yeah.
I think the younger generation has swung because, it's a pendulum. It's always swinging. I think it's swung so far the other way where there's a lot of people who don't have a drinking problem at all.
Yeah.
Who are like, I'm just going to not drink.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, it makes for a lot fewer cooler stories, but.
Yeah, which is definitely, worse.
Yeah, right? No, it is interesting. I meet a lot of younger people who are like, I don't drink. And I'm like, oh, friend of Bill? Been in the program a while? And they go, who? What? And I go, oh, you just don't drink. And they go, it's not, it's poison.
Friend of Bill? Is that an AA thing?
I can't tell you. It's anonymous.
Hilarious. I would never. I don't think it is. I am in an interesting category because it's like undeniable that I have drinking issues, but I know I don't like need to go to AA. And I know guys like that's like not a good thing. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're probably in denial," and I'm like, "No, I don't think I am because I have no problem stopping."
Yeah,
it's just like there's a term. I don't think it's for me.
It's in the book. There's a term for it. It's called a hard drinker.
Yeah,
there's levels to drinking, and we talk. I mean, there's been so much research about it and stuff, but there's like social drinkers, there's light drinkers, and then there's hard drinkers. And I would classify most of the people in my family as hard drinkers where there is something more important than drinking.
Yeah.
Whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's like there's something more important to where, but if they're going to drink, they're going to get after it.
It's going to be hard, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to drink hard.
Yeah, that's the way, That's the way I am.
Yeah.
And that's what stops me from drinking.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I can have a beer. And I'm like, why the fuck do I want a beer?
One beer, yeah.
That's so silly.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
If you're gonna drink, drink.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then those people, it's even talked about in the book, which we use in the anonymous program. Those people aren't alcoholics. There is a difference between a hard drinker and an alcoholic.
Interesting.
And the reason it's never been more apparent to me, but like when I start, I joke all the time. It's like Frank the Tank in Old School. Once it hits my lips, like, dude, it's over.
Yeah, pretty much the same. For me, it's it won't be over in one night.
Yeah.
I'll have a beer one night, and then a month later I'll be drinking too much, like in a week.
Yeah.
That's how it happens to me. And it's always
over time.
It's happened so many times, and when I started taking breaks, it was good because that's when you notice that stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then you go I go from 0 to 60, and then eventually I'm just kind of like, well, if this is going to happen every time, I stop playing the game, stop lying to myself that I can have a beer like once a day or once every 3 days.
I think that is the difference.
Is it a terrible crime to go to the bathroom?
Right now?
Yeah.
In the middle of the show?
Yeah, I really have to.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, you made me feel bad about that.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, hey, he's back.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I wanted to be more present. Yo, did I tell you I got called a soy boy on the internet?
You didn't tell me, but I saw it on your
my story?
Yeah, I saw it on your story.
Yeah, dude, I posted a joke. I'm trying to post new jokes online and just like straight to the camera thing.
Yeah.
And just do it's a way to try out new jokes, and I edit them together. I edit them to see how I would want, it kind of takes a joke from going from level 0 to level 3, even if it's not funny, it's at least structured well, and you can kind of see the structure. It's interesting. So I posted that on TikTok. It's a joke about it's just about how the Civil War is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then if it happens, there's going to be 40 people, and you're going to see it on TikTok. You're just going to scroll over it. You're not even going to care about the war happening because people are freaking out, and I'm like, it's going to be fine. So I post that, and these people they're getting so upset.
So you went viral?
No, not even. I have like less than 1,000 views, but the comments there's like 12.
Lighting up.
There's a lot of comments.
Yeah.
For some of my TikTok videos because I have like no followers.
Yeah.
And it's so they're so angry.
Why are they mad?
They're so angry at me saying that I wouldn't go to war. Like I don't want to go to war. I said war is inconvenient, and they were like, you soy boy, like you apathetic loser, like
wow.
And then some people were like, oh, the war is gonna be like this, but none of the comments are like anything just being like, oh, this is funny or this is not funny. It's just like taking it real serious.
Yeah.
And then this one guy goes like, you're a maybe for soy boy apathetic losers. And then I just text it back like, haha. Because I'm just like, whatever, dude, you're hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, your life must be amazing. That you're like commenting negative things on random TikTok people that don't have like any followers.
It's
like,
insane.
I can actually understand getting upset about somebody's opinion that has like 1 million followers. Because then you could be like, yo, you're influencing people.
Yeah.
But dude, my video is getting 700 views or whatever. Maybe we can like chill out a little.
Relax.
And maybe you could just like not like it. You don't have to like it. I don't care. But so he messaged like, you're a soy boy. I texted, haha. And then he was like, comedy's supposed to be based in truth. And everyone knows that this is only true to apathetic losers. And apathetic losers don't go to comedy shows. And I was just like,
what is happening?
What is happening, dude? And I go, I'm sorry your life is so bad that you feel the need to comment negative things.
Yeah, get him.
I try to be like, I don't want to attack him.
Oh, I attack immediately.
But it doesn't make me feel good.
No, it makes me feel terrible.
It actually makes me feel bad. Like his comment makes me feel bad. It's not nothing to me.
I posted a clip
But Soy Boy was really funny.
That is good.
Yeah.
You know why? Because there's estrogen in soy.
Yeah.
Well, I actually just had McKenna Moore on, very funny comedian. We were talking about, because she was a Division I athlete. She went to Syracuse and rode. And she's a bigger girl, and I got this whole thing going on. And so we were talking about the gym stuff. Because she's strong as fuck, and we were talking about the gym stuff and lifting and stuff like that. And I cut up one of those clips and I put it online.
Yeah.
And someone responded, by gym, they mean all you can eat buffet.
Huh.
And so then
at least that's creative. Like, it's an insult, but at least it's not just like, sorry, but it's not like him just getting angry.
No, that's
and being
true.
like, women don't go to the gym. That would be like the equivalent to like what
you're right. But I
experience sometimes. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
I just immediately always fire back. Like, when I had no following and no traction at all, I would tell my friends who did have I'd be like, don't even read the comments. And I've been talking about this on stage because regular people, like civilians, find it funny as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are the ones commenting on videos. And I was like, oh, just don't even read the comments. And then the second I got any sort of traction, I was like reading every fucking comment.
Really?
And I'll reply back. The listeners know this, but I used to reply back with my address. And I'll be like, if you're ever in New York, come to this address and come say that to me.
Oh, my God.
But this one, I literally saw red.
That's unsafe. I know you could beat some people up, but they might like...
I'm not bulletproof.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's like kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
He wrote... By gym, they mean all you can eat buffet.
Yeah.
And then under that, his name was like motorhome eBay guy or something.
Yeah. It's not a great joke, by the way. I'm not going to pretend like it's a great joke. And so, but it's got something to it.
It's got a little something.
0.5.
Under that, I wrote, it's got to be hard. I said, haha, too bad you'll never experience what it feels like when people Google you, that ESPN.com is the first thing that comes up.
Fuck yeah.
And I was like, I haven't played football in 15 years. Why would I say that to somebody? That was my go-to response was, you'll never know what it feels like to be on ESPN.com. When
you got all
Google
uppity about yourself, and then later you were like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah, I was like, why did I do that?
What am I playing, D-line for the Lions, dude? What's going on here?
And it's just one of those things. But there's so many people. One person this is the motor.
It's funny how it drags you down.
Yeah, well, this was
and
the
motorhome
guy.
I try not to make that happen, but I am angry, and I do want to
fuck that guy.
I want to give them some kind of perspective. I don't know if that's like
you can't though, because they're not going to listen.
Yeah,
it's like when.
But I think there's a way to break into somebody's like.
Head?
You can break into their like I'll say code.
Yeah.
But the way they're looking is if they're looking at you, if someone's arguing with you in person and they're like fuck you, what they expect is fuck you, or they expect like a cowering.
Yeah.
But if you give them there's a way to kind of like
I see what you're saying.
I've seen it, I've done it, And it's like you can kind of like
crack the code.
I do it with angry customers at the bar. If they're constantly yelling, I just am like, okay. I don't say sorry, but I also don't like get mad at them.
Yeah.
And if you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Great. And then like you can like break it, and then they suddenly like you see it happen, and that's what I try to make happen. Not everyone is gonna listen.
No, you're right, but I've done that with guests before. But the problem with the internet is that a lot of times it's people just waiting to talk. And I've said this before, but since the advent of social media, everyone has a voice. Not everyone deserves a voice. Not everyone should have a voice.
No.
And it used to be hard. If you wanted to say something and people to listen, you would have to go through the yellow pages, go to a comedy club, find an open mic, get on stage, face that fear. You would have to do stuff.
Yeah.
There were barriers in place. So if what you wanted to say to people had to be so much more important to you than the fear of getting on stage, than the fear of speaking in public, than all those fears, it had to be greater to you than all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you would say it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, anyone can just say something behind the fucking keyboard, and you're like, fuck off.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to raise my hand. Agreed. But also, it's interesting that like I then like sometimes will post a joke that's not a joke yet, and what I mean by that is I haven't done it on stage. I don't know if a stranger would laugh at it, and I decide let's throw it on TikTok because I have like no followers, and like I might as well, and just because I can get some kind of reaction, like negative or positive, like or it'll get no views, and I'll think okay maybe it's not funny. Or I can just hear it back myself. But anyway, the thing that it's almost easier to go on stage and be like, this is a new idea.
Yeah.
And because then people don't laugh, and I know how to deal with that. But nobody has ever, when I've gone on stage with a new joke, been like, you're a little bitch afterwards, which is what they do online.
That's
or
true.
they'll be like,
but that's
I don't like that joke because the North has an aggression that the South never like. They'll put, like nobody ever yells out a paragraph that you could read on a comment.
But that's my point.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
That's your point.
All those people who didn't have a voice before because they wouldn't be the ones on stage being like, yeah, the North is the more aggressor. They would be the ones sitting in the audience not saying
anything.
Not saying anything.
Yeah, and that's
now
why
they've been afforded a voice.
I guess what I was saying was posting. You were talking about commenting. I was thinking whether I deserve a voice.
Oh, you do.
And posting.
Because you get on stage.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be funny. That's what I don't get about what they're going for. He called me a comedian in his comment.
And you're
at
like,
one point.
I'll take it.
Because I said ha ha ha, and he said it's funny that this is the first laugh the comedian's post is getting.
Yeah.
Which was a good retort. But I'm like, you called me a comedian, meaning at least you know my intention is to be funny.
You recognize me as
So what
the
are
thing.
you doing? I don't get what people like. If you recognize my intentions to be funny, then there's only two appropriate responses.
Yeah, we could
laugh or don't.
An hour
you want to move
this.
on?
We can.
Sorry.
You came in hot with the soy boy.
I did. That was fun.
You were ready.
I apologize.
Well, let's talk about the hospital. What happened with the hospital?
Yeah, so
because you said between the time that you threw up in your dad's lap and the time where he was like, you don't really have that big of a problem, you had been arrested, which we're going to get to next.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think the hospital was after. Well, the hospital was before throwing up on him.
Oh,
would be my best guess.
And so this is in college.
There's a way we can actually check this just based on when the Giants played the Niners, but it doesn't really matter. But I know that it was my freshman year. So that would have been 2010 when I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
It definitely was 2010 or early 2011. And yeah, dude, we were day drinking or pre-gaming at in a girls' dorm. So there's like three of them, three of us, 4 and 4. Great times. I'm still terrible at talking to women. I was terrible back then to the point where like I didn't even know how to, at least now I know how to be around them. I don't know how to flirt, but I know how to just talk casually
and you
without
listen.
Being what?
You listen.
That was sorry.
You motherfucker. Flip it.
I hate when people do that to me, and I just did it to you, so I feel like less of a human right now.
So you feel like a soy boy.
I feel a little bit like a soy boy now. Dude, I got some biceps. Okay.
Show the people.
I did 15 push-ups last week.
He did like 150, but he always says 15.
I know, it's funnier.
Yeah.
I didn't do 150 in one sitting.
I remember.
Well, not in like, I do like sets of 10. Yeah, okay.
We talked about this.
I do it while I play MLB. Did I tell you that part?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I play video games and then I go down and then
That's
I play video
hilarious.
games. Yeah, it's a way to feel productive, but also,
absolutely.
because I have to be productive.
Because we're mentally unstable people.
Yeah, I am.
Convenience.
Yeah. So I think like I just like couldn't talk to these girls.
Yeah.
And they were beautiful. And so I'm like
college,
taking
18,
shots
19?
after shots. I go from like hanging out with one girl every like 4 months in high school to being surrounded by beautiful women that want to hang out.
Yeah.
And it's like terrifying.
Are you a popular kid in college because you're from Jersey, because you're like got the kind of this gruff exterior?
I just like met a group of people quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this was before I was in a fraternity, but I was in a fraternity.
Yeah, I remember.
But we started the fraternity, so it feels a little better. But also we were like, I don't know, I just like got surrounded by people that were like type A.
Yeah.
What I think are like good-looking dudes that were surrounded by like fun guys that were like women, and I was friends with like the baseball team.
Yeah.
So they like just happened to be
So you had stuff going
like
on, man.
a group of popular people that I was attached to. And so
Hey guys.
yeah, hey, I'm here too. Yeah. So I'm hanging out with these girls, have no idea how to talk to them.
Just day drinking.
So I'm just gonna hammer shots.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to let the liquor take over for my lack of personality. And it works for a little while.
Yeah.
But the problem is if that's your path, you don't get off that path when you're good enough. Or at least I don't.
No.
So it's like I don't even really want to drink, but I don't know what else to do. So I'm just like, let's take shots. And then next thing I know, it tips over. You know the tip?
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you like saw it that way.
Oh yeah.
But like there's a tip.
There's a line that you'll cross, and then
Yeah, you're taking a reasonable amount of time to get to 7 drinks, maybe a reasonable amount of time, and then all of a sudden it's an unreasonable amount of time to get to 14.
Well, and the other problem too is that even if you don't take a reasonable amount of time to get to 7, you'll start to feel 1, 2, and 3 here, and you'll be like, "Oh, I'm good."
Yeah.
But then 4, 5, 6, 7 kick in, and
Hits
you're like, "Oh
much
shit!"
faster.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, but you're not like I'm not like, "Oh shit, I should stop."
No.
Which some people might have that thought.
You lean into it.
I'm like, "Hey, I'm good now," and then like I have like 7 more. I think I end up having like 20 to 25 shots. I'm bottle chugging, and the girls left at this point.
They always do.
Yeah.
So now it's got to be like early afternoon.
They had a
evening.
party to go to, but looking back, we probably would have been invited if I didn't
If you didn't make
make an ass out of myself. I try to fight my best friend, which is hilarious because he like was doing MMA at the time.
Yeah.
And
Who wasn't in 2011?
He was just worried about me. That's when you know you're not a threat to your buddy. When you try to fight him and he's worried about you.
Yeah, when he's just like, stop.
He's just like, dude, what
Relax.
is this? And there's like a small video out there of me putting my like forehead to his forehead.
Really?
Yeah.
On
I'm such a
someone's
shit
camera's
talker.
phone?
And I think I'm such a shit talker that eventually it just elevates.
Yeah.
And I was writing about this as I was thinking about these stories. And I was like, on one hand, I got away with so much, but like because I was funny. But also that caused so much shit.
Yeah.
And I used to hang out with these kids that were like just a group of kids that could handle themselves in a fight, or at least looked like they could.
Yeah.
Like tall guys, and like I would just talk
You're from
shit
Newark, dog.
so much until like they would just have to be like, yo, you're not going to do anything to our boys, so why don't you just walk away?
Yeah.
And it'd just be like, and then they would always be like, Pattwell, you were getting into it last night. And I was like, I don't remember that.
I have so many friends like this in comedy.
Yeah.
Back home in well, not so many. We have 2. You know who you are. Trevor Johnson, who's been on the show. He's very thin, very frail, some would say. I love him to death. He's like a brother, but he'll get on stage and like call people out in the audience. Be like, fuck, who the fuck are you? Fucking piece of... Because he knows me and the gummy bear gangster himself, Marcus Crespo, who's been on the show like 4 or 5 times, one of my best friends in the whole world, are sitting in the back of the room like, if this guy stands up, we're going to have to go over there and be like, just sit down.
Do anything.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything to our friend.
Yeah.
And so it's
a terrible person to be.
I fucking hate that guy
sometimes. No offense to this guy that I don't know.
No, Trevor's a good guy, but it's just one of those things. He'll have a couple of beers, and then he's just like, He'll just say like the most offensive joke and people will be like, oh, and he'll be like, who the fuck are you booing?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, man, like chill.
That's that shit that I would do.
That was the Chris, man, the Pattwell.
Yeah. We were hanging out with this kid one time and I forgot my buddies weren't with me. I must have. See, the thing was, I wasn't hiding behind them.
Yeah.
I just would shit talk.
Yeah.
And if I was drunk, I would shit talk away from them. But like, luckily, we were just like, I was around them a lot. So then I'm like not around them and I'm doing my normal thing. This guy's giving me coke, which he shouldn't be doing because I'm just going to increase the shit talking. Yeah. And I'm shit talking to him. And we already had like a not a great relationship. We're hanging out because we're both mutual friends with these 4 girls that we were going to hang out with. And we're hanging out and recently, I'm going to call this guy Todd.
Okay.
Recently, Todd's buddy broke up with one of the girls we're hanging out with. And they're shit talking Todd's buddy.
And this is back in college?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're shit talking Todd's buddy like crazy. And I'm like, yo, isn't this awkward for you? You're hanging out with these girls because you really want to hang out with them and you have to deal with like them and you can't even stand up because you really want to hang out. He wasn't a good looking dude.
Yeah.
And he was like a bigger guy and I was just like capitalizing. I don't look good in this story. And
you look like an asshole, dude.
So I'm just shit talking and shit talking.
Where are you gonna go? You can't go anywhere, man.
You want to hang out with these girls and
they were not gonna hang out with you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
And
you
so
fat piece of shit.
So he ends up punching me in the face. And I remember I was so drunk. I don't even remember the leading up to the punch. I don't even remember getting punched. I remember bouncing back up and being like, I just got punched. And I continued to shit talk him as I walked away. And so, yeah, that's why I don't drink anymore.
Were you one of the guys?
Maybe we could cut that story. I don't like that one.
You left for the bathroom. We're not cutting it. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't like that one that much.
Were you the kind of guy where if you got into a fisticuffs, if you got into a little bit of a fight, would you... Because there are people where they'll shit talk you.
Yeah.
And this has happened to me where people will shit talk, and then I'll take action because I'm more of an action guy.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, you can't fucking put your hands on me.
Yeah.
And like totally puss out. Are you one of those?
No,
or like if someone
not
swings, you're like, all right, let's go.
Not at all. I think I've just gotten like, I think I must be funny or some kind of...
Because it normally never escalates.
Because we don't ever escalate to physical. Like, it never escalated to physical.
Because those are the
and
people
even when I got
stand.
hit, I feel like it just like, I'm not going to really hit back.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like getting into a fight. And I could take like a punch. It's like, whatever, let's just move on.
Okay.
I'm like, dude, I was being an asshole. You hit me and I moved on. I didn't get hit that much though.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even just because... Definitely that would be the one like saving is I just kind of like would end up making them laugh.
Yeah.
Or maybe making a buddy of theirs laugh or just like somehow getting away with it where I would see the line and I would like
step back,
flirt with it, but then move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening the day drinking with the hospital? Because we kind of got off track. There was 4 and 4. You're day drinking and then the girls leave.
Well, that's what ended up happening is I end up like it was just like 20, 25 drinks. I think that was pretty much the end of the story.
But how did you end up in the hospital?
He called the ambulance.
But that's
because I was like dead.
Yeah. So
So
you try to fight him. He's just trying to look after you, and then they're like, something's wrong here.
Yeah. I was like throwing up.
Did you wake up in the hospital?
Throwing up blood. Yeah.
What was your first thought?
This is a great way to wake up because they hydrate you.
Oh yeah.
And they take all I guess they don't take alcohol out of your, that's not possible.
They'll dump charcoal into your stomach and pump it if they have to.
Okay. They might've pumped my stomach.
Yeah.
And they hydrated me. I woke up feeling wonderful. And you have no memory. So I go back to my buddy and I'm like, this is a pretty good day.
Dude, were you scared when you woke up in the hospital?
No, not really.
Okay. Did you know
I was
you were
a little bit of an
hospital?
idiot back then. Everything was fine.
Okay.
I was a very like everything's fine always, and I still come like that, but like there're just more dramatic things happening back then that I was fine with.
Well, speaking of, let's talk about the arrest.
All right,
the big one.
Yeah. So I end up. This was like the first time I stopped drinking for a while.
Yeah. How old are you?
I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were taking breaks even before 25 when you took your break.
This is when I...
Oh, okay.
It was... So I stopped drinking after I wake up in a jail cell in
we're
Baltimore.
Tarantino, what happens?
Yeah. So
we know how it ends. How did it start?
Well, I'm not done with the ending part. So I was facing the maximum sentence, and I realized that this is probably not going to happen now. And like, you know, you can maybe look at this with a smarter lens, but when you're 21 and you get a form that reads out your sentence to bring to your lawyer or whatever it was like maximum. I was facing an assault felony against a police officer for a maximum sentencing of 10 years in prison or up to $50,000 worth of fines. And I don't know which I was more worried about, the prison time or $50,000, because I did not have $50,000. I had about $2,000 saved up from serving. I spent all of that on a lawyer. I met with 3 lawyers. The third one I met with, I was like, you're fucking smooth. And I like this guy. And he was the only one that was like in a nice suit in a nice office. Yeah. And so I was like, fuck it. The first lawyer was tricky. I met with him and I go, I'm meeting with a couple other lawyers. And he goes, oh, you're not going to come back. And I was like, no, and he like almost he's like, nobody ever comes back. He almost made me come back to him just for that reason. Yeah. But I'm glad I went with the third guy. Cut back to what happened.
What happened?
Yeah. So we're hanging out. We're having a boat party.
This isn't when you're going to Towson?
Yeah, in college.
Okay.
And we're I'm 21, and we're hanging out, all my friends, and we're getting drunk. We rented a boat. It's like a big blowout.
Oh, you rented a boat?
A lot of us are graduating.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like a party boat or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like a bunch of us, and we decide that we're gonna get Molly.
Yeah.
For it.
As you would.
Which is a great idea.
Of course, you're graduating.
Yeah. And I loved Molly. I still do. She's a great girl. And my buddy doesn't get Molly. He gets Adderall.
Ugh.
Which is a terrible substitution.
That's not even the same.
No. Because what I wanted to do.
Even the same sport.
What I wanted to do was have Molly and dance and drink water.
Yeah.
That's really was my game plan. But once you get Adderall, I'm like, okay, well, then I'm going to buy a bottle of Jose Cuervo.
And we're just going to drink.
And then I took Adderall in the beginning of the night, a lot of it, and was like...
Too much?
So I don't know if you know this, but Adderall makes you focused on whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And what we were doing is taking shots of Jose Cuervo. So I was really focused on that. And I was really good at it.
Just pounding shots. And Adderall, too, because it's the same chemical makeup as speed, you don't feel drunk.
Yeah. And I didn't until I was too drunk.
Until you tipped over.
Yeah. I made a speech that I don't remember.
Ooh.
But we had like a microphone and we were like doing stuff like, because it was like graduation.
You did stand-up before you did stand-up.
Oh, it was not funny. I forget what it was. I remember being angry during it. I was kicked off the dance floor several times by this guy who was doing security for the boat. And because I had a beer in my hand the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's no alcohol allowed on the dance floor. And I was like, I don't agree with that rule. And so I kept breaking that rule. And so I'm finally like, I don't know. So I'm blacking like, or
I'm in and out.
I'm in and out. I'm coming back in and I must have had like the whole bottle of Cuervo. Probably not, but like half of it or something. Yeah. To be realistic, like half of it at least. And a bunch of beers and probably drinks throughout that I don't remember. I'm being a nuisance on the boat. I'm dancing when the security guard pulls me off the dance floor for the third time.
Yeah.
Okay. And he didn't want to dance, unfortunately. I probably tried to dance with him. He pulls me into like a back room or whatever.
Ooh.
And not to dance again.
And you're out at sea at this point.
Yeah. And at some point, I'm like, get your fucking hands off me.
Of course.
And he pushes me, or I pushed him.
Okay.
And then he pushed me. And then I swung at him.
Ooh.
And I missed by probably a good amount. And then he swung at me and he did not miss. And he knocked me out. And this point, he revealed that he was an undercover cop.
Oh, no.
And arrested me.
Oh, no. He was just making extra money working security for the boat?
Yep. Which I joke is a hilarious finishing move. And they should put that into Mortal Kombat. Because it's like,
pull out a badge?
you knock him out and then you arrest him.
God.
And you sentence him to 10 years in prison for felony assault against the police officer. So, have you ever seen Blue Mountain State?
I love Blue Mountain State.
There's a scene in Blue Mountain State. No. It seems like you would love it.
I love Blue Mountain
There's a scene in Blue Mountain State where he trash talks the cop enough to make him hit him, and then he has to let him go.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
Because if you get punched by a cop, they can still arrest you.
For assault on them.
Yeah. But I don't stop the game plan. I just continue shit-talking him.
You were really trying to put this into action?
I was trying to get him to punch me again. I was like, if he punches me again, he might let me go this time.
Yeah, that was Marathon
Maybe it's
Monday.
like one for each cuff. You need 2 punches, and then he lets you go. Maybe the rules are different in Baltimore, you know? They are not. I said some pretty awful things to this person and tried to get him to hit me again, and he did not. He ignored me.
Always go after the rookie.
Yep.
That's
what they said. My eye was, and they bring me to the hospital because they have to.
Yeah.
And the cops ended up being pretty cool guys.
Maybe it was because it was just one cop. Because in that scene, there's two, and he punches him, and he goes, "You got to let him go now. You're free to go." And then he looks up and he goes, "Always go after the rookie."
Yeah.
Maybe because it was just one, and he didn't have a body cam.
Yeah, he did not.
No.
But
undercover.
Yeah. So I end up spending the night in the jail cell.
Yeah.
In Baltimore. It's not all people that are like me, that look or act like me.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Not great. I'm lying on the ground. Cockroaches are walking by.
Yeah.
A dude is taking a shit like 5 feet from me, very boldly. Yeah. Very confident man. One guy is just like slamming on the glass and calling the cops like pigs and hilarious names. Not a fun time.
No.
I remember one guy looked at me and was like, "What are you in for?" And I was like, I know what I look like. And I was trying my best to be tough. So I was like, assault. And he was like, "Oh, shit." And then I was like, okay, that was good.
Yeah,
that was a good reaction. Yeah. Nobody really fucked with me, but I was pretty terrified. Not when I woke up.
When you finally woke up?
Yeah, when they brought me to the hospital, I was still drunk.
Yeah.
In the van, I was fine, like getting to the hospital. The whole time you're thinking, this is a prank.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like was everybody's mindset, but I'm like, I don't get arrested.
I talk about this
I
all
always
the time.
get away with stuff.
The first couple times I got arrested, I was like, this can't be really happening.
Yeah. I'm like, where's the privilege now? You know, like I just
where's the
no, but seriously, like that's where my head's not where's the privilege, but it's I'm always getting away with stuff like this. When is my friends gonna pop out and be like, we were fucking with you?
Gotcha.
I'm literally thinking that this is a prank and everyone's gonna come out and be like, we were fucking with you.
Yeah.
Even though I clearly was just in the wrong and being a complete asshole.
So what ended up happening?
I get the lawyer, I get sentenced, I show up to court, and the lawyer is hilariously like awesome. And he's just like, yeah, you know, they're celebrating, they're passing champagne around, and he gets a little carried away. And then we show him pictures of my eye that I took like as soon as I got home.
Oh yeah, smart.
Yeah, and the cop didn't even show up. Detective Simpson.
Take that, Detective Simpson.
I remember.
So you just got away with it.
Yeah.
God damn. You just got away with it.
So I was sentenced to 8 hours, 24 hours of community service.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Suck on that, Simpson.
Yeah.
Dude, this was fun.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're out of time.
I was sentenced to 24 hours of community service. I only served 8. And the church people were very nice to me.
My fucking guy.
Yeah, it worked out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Pattwell, huh?
Yeah.
Plug everything one more time.
I don't drink anymore.
No, use social media.
ChrisPatwell.comedy on Instagram, and come check out the Don't Freak Out Show, New York Comedy Club, 24th Street, Friday at 4 p.m. every Friday.
Love it. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the one-man show, Ex-Drinking Buddy, A Comics Look at Life, Near Death Recovery and Redemption. We'll talk to y'all next week. Boom.